I'm here today with Dr. Darnell Lattal, President and CEO of Aubrey Daniels International.
Hmm.
And Darnell, I'm very interested in knowing, how did you become a behavior analyst?
Well, when I look back, there were several events that shaped that up in me. One, I was dating a boy named Andy Lattal, and he was becoming a behavior analyst himself. And we went to Anna State to do some summer work together. And I learned a great deal at that point about how the environment can shape all kinds of extraordinary behavior in people that much of our society had given up on. These were institutionalized patients. I was at that time an American Studies major. I took some psychology. I wasn't at a school that had behavior analysis in the undergraduate curriculum. So I was doing bits and pieces of learning. I took a course with a sociologist who, in the course, we had a great debate about, are we free to choose vanilla ice cream? And I remember thinking, I was a young student who believed that free will was the essence of who I was and argued mightily about the ice cream cone. And honestly, it began to affect me in ways that I could not anticipate, that brief discussion. From there, I went on to see the effect of the environment on people. I then pursued my American Studies, history, philosophy kind of background, wanting to go into cultural studies and that sort of thing. But when I got out of school, there were no jobs for that the BA in those areas. So I got a job teaching exceptional children after spending a summer at a summer camp where we published a study. Andy published one on toothbrushing that became rather famous in the early literature. This was in the 60s. And then I worked with a group of girls with various behavioral problems and used behavioral strategies with them and began to see magical effects. And after that, after I graduated, I went into work in a special ed class because these people at this camp said, you'd be very good at this, why don't you do it? I had no background. I got a master's in special ed with a focus on the beginnings of behavior analysis. And by then I had been influenced by a token economy and the work of Azrin and Ayon and others, and I was just shaped right up. I had nowhere to go but into this wonderful field. And got my PhD from West Virginia University. I was a clinical behavior analyst for many years, and after I graduated, a fellow named John Kraftful, who was our chair at WVU, went to Chicago and started a corporate behavior analyst, COBA, consulting firm, and asked me if I'd like to possibly do this work with business. I had a strong business bias, as in, I don't want to work in business, but I got over it, and I went and I learned that the human condition in business is as worthy as just about any other area that we might work in. And for many years worked with COBA in Chicago, traveled all around, got my wings wet. Then with CLG, Continuous Learning Group, I was there at the start. There were about 6 of us meeting around a table. And then I went on from there to Aubrey Daniels International in 1997. But all of these influences and streams have really affected me in terms of how I look at the potential for behavior analysis in many areas. I've also worked inside university settings and got to use these great skills, potentially I use them well, on things like promotion and tenure debates and angry dissidents and deans and administrations and all those good things. So I see the application broadly. I am in organizations, corporate life now, but honestly, I see it everywhere. Education here, with children, with adults, with the elderly. It just has broad application.
Let me take you back to those early days when you first got interested in behavior analysis and started being shaped by the world around you. What was it like during those days? What was the environment like for a budding behavior analyst?
Well, it was, these were the days when we used the word radical to refer to the way we talked. Not just radical behavior analysis, but we were radical in our positions. We really did think that this science could revolutionize the way the world worked, not just in terms of the potential of each human being, but the beauty that it would bring. We were vehemently attacked during those early days by those who thought that what we were about was control, about taking away freedom and dignity, actually. So we had many of those kinds of things. We were intemperate, perhaps, in the way we went at it on occasion, but we really did believe that we had something that was of great value. But the other thing that was going on during those days is that we were really free to experiment, to try out, to figure out, and because we had such powerful effects, in the applied world at least, we got a lot of credence and people really attended to the work, particularly with special needs children that I worked in early on. And then in business, no one was doing this sort of thing. And the business leaders, as long as we were getting results, they were receptive to us. But it was not a time, and I don't believe, I still think that we face issues communicating what we're about to the general population. I don't believe that, at that time, behavior analysis was growing. It was a very different feel. We felt that we were going to be, have many, many PhDs, that the world would be radicalized by us, and it would bring great, great good things to people. I think some of the early noise we made was not well received, but I honestly don't know that that's the reason that we're having the difficulties we are today, positioning this as the science that it is in universities. But that is one thing that did fall away over the years. From the beginnings, it was brand new, and we were all so enthused.
You've done a lot of things. You described your history, and what of the many things that you've done, what would you like to be remembered for?
When I think about it, a non-coercive strategy of change, bringing solutions that do not overemphasize threat and fear as a condition of learning, as a condition for bringing new things to people. I really believe I've been interested in violence and violence reduction for many years in American society as a personal commitment that I have. And I've been involved on national efforts to reduce violence in America. So I suppose that if I had something to be remembered for, it would be that there are solutions that we can bring to our humankind that have to do less with punishment, threat, and fear, and much more with accelerating performance, because it is positively reinforcing and it is a values-based kind of positive reinforcement. We can create monsters with positive reinforcement, we know that. We have Nazi Germany to look at, we have current conditions, we have great abuse inside organizations where people justify their acts because it seems to them the right thing to do, but it's not based on something that society would value. So I would like to be remembered for attempting to encourage others to see the power of non-coercive strategies of change.
Over the years that you've been involved in behavior analysis, how do you see that the behavior analysis as a field, a discipline or a field in your area or overall has changed? How is it different, or has it changed?
You know, it all seems very much the same at times. I read the literature, and I don't know that we've made great strides in some of the ways that we go out and we address issues that have to do with more than the individual inside the individual's issues, and the individual as the unit of analysis. But behavior analysis, at least in the workplace, is now dealing with cultural effects. We deal with large-scale change. We just finished an assessment of an analysis of a 36,000 person company. The contingencies that are operating, the units of analysis are large, And we keep coming back to the roots, though. The basic science is always the same. That science is expanding, we're getting new understanding, but the tools are the same. The problems we're addressing seem to be more complex to me.
Well, if you had to do it over again, from the very beginning,
Yeah.
is there anything that you would do differently?
I'd probably start earlier, in the sense that I might have, as an undergraduate, done more with, well, I don't know, I was in a traditional psychology program. I don't think I would have done that. What would I have done differently? I really liked every area that I've been in. I've liked working with all kinds of populations. So for me, all that mix just adds up to where I am today. And I don't have regrets. I have curiosities. We're working internationally now, and we're very interested in how to take this science to these different cultures. We know that the science is there, regardless of the culture. So I wish I could do more of that, but I don't have regret. I've enjoyed it. I've actually loved every minute.
Okay, sort of moving on to look toward the future a little bit.
Yeah, the future.
What areas of the field would you like to see more work in? What do you feel like there's been a gap in our development?
Well, we are beginning. I know we're working on sustainability and green and eco concepts and things that will affect the way this culture and the world is shaped in the future. I hope we can build on those kinds of large operations of society. I hope we will write more papers on it. I hope we'll be involved in our own cultural leveling. We are to too large an extent. We solve our problems with means that are violent. We're too quick to see and perceive threat in others. I would hope that we can apply these tools to social issues, and I would want us to be much more public with our solutions and get in the media and really say what we have to offer, because I think we have amazingly good things to offer our society.
So how do you see the future of behavior analysis? Do you see it as retaining its sort of discipline and character, or do you see it being subsumed by other areas like neuroscience or biology or psychology?
Well, we know neuroscience is out there, and we're facing it all the time, and it's an interesting world. Neuropsychology is an application of it that seems to put little people in our brains telling us what to do. But neuroscience has, I think there are avenues here that we should explore, we should be open to. We should look at how the brain can influence behavior and what is actually going on and what we can learn about that. I do believe that the future for behavior analysis needs to get back to its roots. I sound like an old traditionalist, but I find that we've really moved away from the science in many of our applications, and we talk grandly about it, but we don't hold ourselves to the same rigor that we should, and I worry a little about that. I think that there is such richness in, even revisiting the foundational works of Skinner and others, and really seeing how they could shape us today, and then being astute to what's going on in our current research. But the science the practice is being shaped by all kinds of influences that are not necessarily good for us. And in my work in ethics, we are as shaped by the contingencies around us as our clients are. And I worry about behavioral drift a bit. So going back to the roots seems to me a very good thing to do.
I'd like to ask you to send a message to students of the future, not maybe the immediate future, but also
down the road.
Down the road. What
down
do
the
you
road.
want to tell them?
Well, I don't know that I have a lot of great wisdom to give you, but if you can see the power of the tools, the simple application of behavior analysis to the individual, to yourself first, how you can become much more alert to the way you shape and guide and develop others, how you suppress or extend opportunity, how you attribute your good knowledge, attribution, learning to give credit where it's due, and see yourself as part of this behavioral stream. Really understand your power to influence. That's my message to you.
Thank you, Darnell. It's very interesting. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.